So welcome to this small video about the roadmap in our strategic scenarios. The roadmap is in essence a strategic plan, often also referred to in many companies as our strategy or strategic plan. But in this terminology, we use the roadmap to ensure that we're not confusing it with the general strategic process. The content of the plan is in essence two parts. It's the goals, what we want to achieve, and the milestones, the part goals, the steps that we need to go through in order to reach the goals, and finally our vision. Derived from this process, we will get what's called the business plans, the policies, the department plans, medium-term, long-term plans, all the actionable items, but that comes later. Let's start with the goals. Here I've listed a tool for evaluating goals, the SMART framework. The reason we want to set these goals is that we want to have the different goals linked for different people to the vision, so that we ensure that we move from our mission, our current state, to the vision stage. The goals need to be concrete. We need to be able to work with them, and therefore the SMART framework. They need to be specific, so we can understand them, know what it's about, measurable, because what we measure, we do, acceptable, so it needs to be at a level which we can agree on, realistic, it needs to be possible to reach these goals, and we need to have them at the right time. These goals comes out of our strategic scenario process combined with our options. What is it that we can actually do? I've also put in this small figure here next to me. The figure is color-coded into 4 categories, and that actually refers to the balanced scorecard methodology. Balanced scorecard means the people. So how do we train, evolve on the staff that we have? The processes, how do we do things? The finance, the economic side of a business, and the customer satisfactions. Be aware, though, that the goals in the roadmap are only the top level goals. We don't go into details on department levels, etc. That will come later on. And we also want them to be so generic that we can still work on them, that we can still implement them in various ways depending on how the world is developing. Therefore, the strategic plan, or the roadmap here, needs to deal with 3 things. It needs to deal with whom it's for, the people involved in it, people affected by it. The what, where a number of steps are considered as feasible steps, feasible activities, and executable. So they need to be reasonable. And lastly, when is it that we need to do these things? Remember, our strategic scenarios are things that evolve over time. We don't know which direction the world will move, but some things we will need to do now, some things that we need to do later on. That also means that we need to consider a number of things. First off, organizational lead time. It might sound a little bit strange, but it's actually just how long will it take for us to do some things. For example, if we want to scale up our production, well, it will take some time for our factory to be retooled or even build a new factory. There might also be issues with how quickly can we get employees on board, how quick can we train them, etc. Which means that there are some times that we need to take into consideration when we set our goals in a time perspective. That's also why backcasting, one of the methodologies we have from our trend analysis, is rather interesting and relevant to use in our roadmaps. We go forward to look at the scenarios, and then we step backwards and we see, okay, is this something that we can do? And do we have the things in place for us to reach that point? So we move back and forth in this iterative process. Therefore, we also use the options that we have looked at. What is it that we can do from now until we reach the scenarios as the idea bank? The robust options, which means options which are positive in all our different scenarios, are the ones we include directly into our plan. Our call put options, which are the ones which in one or multiple cases are good, but not in all, are the ones we link to milestones. We need to reconsider whether we should do that, whether that should be added as a goal or an option later on. So we consider that as the milestones. Then we need to ensure collaboration. We need to ensure collaboration, not just within the team working on this, but also across the organization. The reason for this is that we need to build support. We need to build ownership. There's too many strategy plans, which are just a plan, but never implemented. It's never felt in any way. Therefore, we will move on and lastly, put things into action. How we do that, I'll get back to in the actions video. Thank you for watching this small video. See you in the next one.